statement on my city council Facebook page asking for opinions about what, if you were on city council, what would you do? And I threw some ideas of what options might exist, not that I was recommending any of those changes or additions or whatever. It was a very generic statement, and there were, within an hour and a half, there were 37 comments posted. And then it started getting very nasty and ugly, so I removed the document from my Facebook page, and I sent it immediately to the city manager, and it was forwarded to the council members so that they could see all the comments that had been posted. So there was no impropriety, and there was no opinion rendered or any of that sort of thing. I just wanted to make that very clear on the record.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Sir, are you coming to make a comment, or are you leaving?
Yes, I am, sorry.
Okay. Please come up to the
No, I know
podium.
people aren't lining up.
Yeah, please come to the podium, because if you're not standing behind this gentleman, then this is going to be the last comment.
My name's Jeff Wilson. I'm a full-time resident of Punta Gorda. I don't play pickleball. I have played it in the past. I don't currently play pickleball. I may play in the future. My first introduction to pickleball was at Gilchrist Park, and I thought it was a great venue. It's pretty. I had been to Gilchrist prior to playing pickleball, and I've been to Gilchrist after pickleball. I don't know if I'll take it up later. I may not, but I'm a strong believer that all 8 courts should be restored at Gilchrist Park. I know it's a great local venue. I have friends and family that play pickleball. Sometimes it's fun just to ride my bike by there and see the activity and watch people having a fun time. So my understanding of Pickleplex is it's not open play all the time for everybody. Sometimes they do tournaments, which closes the courts to the public. Sometimes they do kids drills or some other types of things. And the same is true with Cooper Street. Sometimes they close that down to the public, and not just anybody can go play. So I think Gilchrist with 8 courts would be good to have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Bonnie Stade. I've only been a resident of Punta Gorda for a year. I'm from Michigan. What is happening in Michigan is they are building more and more courts. I have friends that live in Grand Haven, Holland, Grand Rapids, and even up in the UP. I was just up in the Upper Peninsula, and they are building courts there. It is a big sport. It's all ages. I do tournaments. I am sad I miss Gilchrist. I don't even want to talk about it. It upsets me. I went down to take a lesson last week. The courts look so bad. There's garbage all over. They were moving the picnic tables, and we asked if maybe because of the wall, there's only a couple benches, and you can't really sit there because you're looking at the green wall, so you can't see people playing. So we asked them to move the picnic table like maybe 1 or 2 on the east side so that we could look in. And they said that the tables were already assigned a spot, so they couldn't put any picnic tables there for us to sit. So of course we all bring our own chairs, which probably maybe looks a little messy, but we don't have any other option because there's only one wooden picnic table there. I am very sad too. I really think the 8 courts should be back. I miss seeing the dogs and the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? All right, then we are going to close the comment period, and we will move into, I guess I have a question. Do you want to talk about the pickleball, topic first and move it up, or should we just keep it in the?
I'm good for keeping it the way we're going.
It's fine.
Keep it the way it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So we will begin with the change in groundwater reverse osmosis disinfection methodology.
While the utilities director is getting up there, would you like to?
I would like to make a comment.
I figured that you would, and I was.
Okay. The liability of having gaseous chlorine is so great. This is a no-brainer. This is what most communities are doing. Bleach is so much, by magnitudes, safer to use and is not economically prohibitive. This is what the trend has been going on for the last 25 years in this country, and this should be, I am urging us to listen and to take very seriously the liability if we were to ever have a gaseous chlorine incident at some time in the future, that going to sodium hypochlorite is the recommended, state-of-the-art, easiest, no-brainer way to go. This is from a person who's obviously been treating water such as this since 1970.
You can kind of blur that answer.
Since 1971.
Okay. Good morning.
I have nothing to add.
The proposal does not affect the guaranteed maximum price.
Right.
Because of the savings that we have already accrued in the project. We are recommending council give us the approval to proceed.
Lynn?
I had two questions asked of me about this
Certainly.
agenda item. The first is, was there actually a financial analysis done about the difference in the cost?
We actually did two analyses. Carollo Engineers did the first one, and Tetra Tech did the second when we started designing the project. At that time, they were pretty evenly matched. It was the devil you knew, so we looked at maintaining the gas chlorine, but as Councilman Wine said, it's becoming so problematic just to move the gas around on the highways in terms of, liability, that it's starting to affect the price now. But yes, we analyzed the cost of both of them. And going forward, the bleach will, from an operational standpoint, be much cheaper and a regulatory standpoint, a reporting standpoint.
Okay, and the other question that I got asked was, why are we all of a sudden making this decision at this point in the game? Why did we not do that in the beginning?
Again, the evaluation put them at almost identical in terms of project cost and cost going forward. Recently, the cost of gas chlorine has gone up, but more importantly, the restrictions in moving the large freight cars of gas chlorine through because of the potential for spills and for terrorist activities is becoming harder and harder. They're actually large cities. They close down the movement of chlorine gas when they have sporting events or when the 4th of July or something like that. All of those affect the cost going forward, and now we're starting to see that.
I'd like to add another comment. In the manufacturing of bleach, no gas chlorine is used. Actually, they use sodium chloride and electricity to generate the sodium hypochlorite at site. So you don't have any of those types of issues. It just is environmentally the way to go, liability the way to go, safety the way to go, and because of all those issues, chlorine gas is becoming more and more expensive. The logistics of moving around at site, if we are a safety-oriented community, I don't think we should even be asking our people to deal with those types of safety issues versus the use of chlorine bleach.
I don't disagree with, are we fairly certain that the cost of the bleach system is going to maintain itself as far as escalating compared to the other method?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
Salt is
I
cheap.
have no problem with it. I'm
Yes.
just asking
Salt
the
is
questions
cheap.
that got asked of me.
Yeah, and absolutely, and again, I am a real stickler at, make up your mind and then build what you decided, but it got to a tipping point, if you will, with the information we were getting, all of the things that Councilman Wine said.
Okay.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the explanation. And Debbie?
I was asked a question, how much of the estimated amount that it's, quote, going to cost us is due to, like, having to redo the physical plant? Is it most of it?
Probably less than half,
Okay,
yeah. And actually, the chlorine room is becoming, the footprint is becoming smaller, so there's cost savings there.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Other
Also, the
questions?
maintenance, the long-term maintenance and operating cost of a bleach system is considerably going to be less than the safety issues and maintenance issues for chlorine over
Okay.
time.
I'd make a motion to approve the change request.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the change in the groundwater reverse osmosis disinfection methodology. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Those opposed, same sign.
Somebody turn Gary's mic down.
My hearing aid off.
Oh, was I passionate
The
about
motion,
this?
the motion carried unanimously.
Thank you.
Unanimously plus.
Do the, all these fees first.
Sure, we can wait, we'll go ahead and we'll do the fees first, and then we'll go to the budget. So let's go to item 6C, resolution adopting a tentative levy of annual special assessment for the lot mowing program. Kristen, we'll turn it over, or David?
This is a resolution which I'll read by title only. A resolution adopting a tentative levy of annual special assessment for the City of Punta Gorda Lot Mowing Assessment District for fiscal year 2019-2020, setting a date, time, and place of public hearing to consider final adoption of the assessment and providing an effective date.
Kristen Simeone, Finance Director. And after reviewing lot mowing and with the new contract in place, we did not feel an assessment rate change was needed this year. So for fiscal year 2020, we're recommending it stay at $170, same as this year.
Okay, any questions? Debbie?
I have one. What's the difference between the cost with the guy that uses the gigantic mower and the other guy that used real lawn mowers?
Do you mean with our current contract?
Yeah,
I would have to look if there's a separation of price. I think they give us a price per lot
Oh,
of
okay.
usage. So I don't know that they break it up by what equipment they're using.
I just want to go on the record as saying that I get so many complaints, and if I were John Q. Citizen, I would be calling my council person to complain. The amount of dust that those guys, I have 4 empty lots on either side of me, and by the time they get done with that gigantic thing, I feel like I live in Oklahoma in the middle of the Dust Bowl. I just wondered what the difference is in cost, and I do get asked that all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume if you're doing more manual labor, it would probably be a little more
Okay.
expensive, but I don't.
Lynn?
I would concur with what Debbie said. I actually received emails complaining about it, and I thought I had talked to Howard about it a few months ago, that they were supposed to be putting regular lawnmowers in service, especially during the summer months. But those big tractor mowers are horrendous. They make a huge mess. And they have to keep backing up and turning around. I mean, if you ever watched them try to maneuver vacant lots, it's ridiculous. I don't even know why they would use them on lots like these. Because the other small mowers, they can do a lot in less than 5 minutes. So I just don't even understand why they're using those. It really is a big problem, and I've received a lot of comments about it.
Do you have a comment?
We can certainly ask them to submit some information as to what the cost would be if they changed their operations, but they bid on a particular way to do business. I mean, what is your pleasure?
I'd like to make a comment.
Gary?
I think we should look at a different way of doing it, and if the assessment's higher, this is still an awfully good deal for anybody that does it on their own anyway. And if, to do it properly for the neighborhood, we have to use, let a spec on a contract that would force the use of a slightly more expensive way to do it. They're still gonna get a better deal than the person that does it themselves, and I think we should go forward with that, because we are basically taking care of people who aren't taking care of their property. And we shouldn't be paying a premium personally for that purpose.
Well, what I'm hearing, though,
We're not paying a
we're
premium.
not paying anything.
We're
They're
not
paying
anything.
it.
Oh,
That's what-
well, no, well, yeah, we are paying. We're paying for it in dust. We're paying for it
Well, but
in
that's a
inconvenience.
different
That's just a
story.
different currency. It's not the
Oh.
currency of dollars. I'm just saying is that we should have in the spec, if the spec requires a higher type of service, we, as a council, should be promoting that type of service so that the rest of us don't have to By the way, I have no lot that needs the service on my whole block, so I don't even have a dog in this hunt. But I have seen it, what my fellow council members are discussing, and I think it behooves us to make sure that when we let out a contract, that the spec is able to include that appropriate environmental currencies are also adhered to. Does that make sense, what I just said?
Well, yes.
It would be interesting for everybody to see what we're talking about, because, I mean, I have 2 vacant lots across the street from me and 1 next door, and to watch that huge tractor, it's just, I just can't even believe it. It's weird.
I have vacant lots across from me, but they're not using it because it's being used as staging for the seawall replacement, so.
Well, that'll go away next month.
So procurement is currently working with the vendor to try and get them to change to the zero turn. Is that correct? No, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. Oh, we're trying to get you the price of what it would cost if we went back to,
Good.
They do
Like
have,
from the older
they
pro-
do have the smaller mowers, and they use them for certain parts of the project, but that big tractor mower it's just ridiculous.
I lose my pool for 2 days. The dust.
So how do we proceed on this if we don't, this number is based on how they're
Correct.
doing business today?
That's correct.
And they may say, well, it's going to cost more money.
if you'd like, this is the tentative, the final, I'd have to check if, because the final isn't gonna actually be set until, September, the first meeting in September.
Okay?
I believe if we're just doing this as a tentative, and I'll check with my
We
calculator.
can't increase it.
No, but
It's a not to exceed amount, so if
There's
you
a
want
not to
to
exceed
add a
amount.
little bit extra, and then we could always go down as we get the information.
Am I understanding correctly, though, that the people who pay the $170, that pays for the lot mower? None of this is city
Correct.
budgeted money?
Correct. It even includes the administration of the program as well.
Okay, so,
Well, what we don't want to do is, we don't want, if we approve this number, then
Can't go
that is the number, and we cannot go higher. So if they come back and say, we hear what you're saying, it's going to cost $10 more,
okay.
we
then I-
can't, that we're stuck.
We need to approve a number that gives them leeway to negotiate.
Yeah, we do.
Yes.
So we should change the number with whatever.
And then we
approve
can
today.
lower the number.
We can always lower it, but
We
we
can
just
lower
can't-
the number to
Yeah.
170 or whatever, so.
So on the, from what I'm understanding from procurement, the new bid for zero turn is almost double the cost of the current bid that we had for what they're currently doing.
How did we
So how
get
does
it
that
so-
change this number?
I'd have to just double check it, but it's gonna be, it won't be quite as double, because part of that's our administration, which those costs won't go up, and part of it's for the trims, and that wouldn't affect the trims. So, I'd have to do a calculation.
You're talking in the high 200s,
How did we-
my
We could-
estimate.
Yeah, and we could bring this back next week if you like, instead of
So-
doing this one right now, I believe, because we have
What,
to.
do you want to do that then? Ask them to bring this back for us to discuss next week?
What did the other bidders bid, though? Were they bidding the big tractors too?
They bid per lot.
Yeah, we've never had the big tractors being used before either.
That's my point.
I think they just, yeah, don't they just bid based on what?
Morning, Marion Pace, Procurement Manager. The 2 lowest bids, they did bid on the large tractors. And then when it went down to there was a combination of large tractors and zero turns depending on, for $11. Excuse me, I'm not very good with tablets. But, and then Beautiful Boundaries, who was the previous contract owner who had the zero turns, they bid at $15 per lot. So we can check with Arbor One, who was our current contractor, and see what the cost would be to do mowing only by zero turn.
Okay. So it's $15 isn't a doubling
No.
of the price.
We're paying $750 a lot right now, so the past contractor was $15 on this latest bid.
Okay, so his new bid is 50,
Yes,
his new
sir.
bid is twice at $15.
Yes, sir.
And at $15, the number is what?
was the zero turn.
Yeah, and at $15, the number.
750 was the zero turn.
Three
No,
is,
$15 was the zero turn
Oh,
by
okay.
Beautiful Boundaries, and then Arbor One, who is our contractor with the large tractors, and they also use zero turn in some of the smaller areas, from what I understand, is $750
And this is per
See, 750 versus
Per mow.
15.
okay.
per mow.
And we estimate approximately 13 mows per year,
Plus 3 trims.
plus 3 trims, the administration.
I think we have as a city an obligation to make this, that we're really dealing with two currencies here. You're dealing with a currency of dollars, and you're also doing a currency of environment. And I think that they both have to be taken into consideration. And rather than just the lowest bid, particularly when it's not coming out of the city budget. We're assessing somebody that should be taking care of their property in the first place. I'll give you an example of somebody I think that did something responsible, even though they were already taken care of, is the empty lot that's across from the yacht club that's owned by the developer. He's going to eventually put some condos in there, but he hasn't started, and he's turned around and put strips of brand-new sod in there to keep that property aesthetically better and also less intrusive because of these specific issues, because it was one that had just had weeds on it and dust, a lot of dust. So that's a case of a very responsible person over an empty piece of property. Just because you own a lot and you live in Michigan doesn't mean you don't have a responsibility to the community. And we, as a council, have a responsibility to the community to see that those types of issues are environmentally and appropriately held, not by taking the cheapest avenue for them, but what is the best and cost-effective avenue for the community should be the priority, not for the lot owner. That's my perspective.
Can we push this decision back to next week?
You can move it to next week.
I think that we need to push this decision back to next
We'll
week.
give you the
and
number. I
come back.
caution everybody that if we establish a rate that's very high, that gives an incentive for more property owners to drop out of the program, do it themselves, and then we have to go through code enforcement. And that takes time. Right now, most of the people are on our program. It's consistent, it gets done. But that
it's
doesn't
cre-
mean we can't look at
But
it.
it's creating another issue for that consistency.
Just caution everybody. So we will give you another number next week.
I'd like to see the other number before we decide.
Okay. We'll see. All right, thank you. Okay, so then we will adjourn as the city council and reconvene as the Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District. David?
Yes, and this is a resolution which I'll read by title only. A resolution adopting a tentative levy of annual special assessment for the Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District for fiscal year 2019-2020, setting a date, time, and place of public hearing to consider final adoption of the assessment and providing an effective date.
Okay, so for the BSI canal maintenance, again, we're recommending staying the same assessment rate of $555, which was the $460 operating and the $95 still paying back on the short-term dredging project assessment. For all non-SRF single-family resident properties, the rate is .058 cents per square foot of land lying less than 120 lineal feet from the seawall. As part of BSI, I did redo the pro forma, just so you all had it available, taking out that tentative assessment rate and moving the two projects down below so that it's very clear they're currently not approved projects.
Thank you.
Any questions on that?
Any questions?
Do we know when they want to do those, since you live there?
They're waiting until after they get the results of the seawall technology study, so that they can see if there's any impact. They just didn't want to go ahead with these until after that study is completed and they get the information back.
And I will just mention again, just so it's on the record, that the final adoption, public hearing for the final adoption will be September 4th, 2019 at 5:01 p.m. Just so it's on.
And they also want to communicate with the Burnt Store Isles community on these projects as well, so.
I make a motion to approve the tentative assessment of $555 for the Burnt Store Isles Canal maintenance for 2020.
I'm sorry, do we have to take public comment?
Well, we took public comment on all items.
You've convened as the Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District.
I took
Yeah,
pub-
we did take public comment at the beginning on each of these items, but I think that because these particular assessments require public hearings in and of themselves, it may be best to open the public comment on.
I withdraw my
on this.
motion.
And we probably should have done the same with respect to the Burnt Store Isles one, too.
Well, no,
We're in
it's still in Burnt
I mean,
Store Isles.
I'm sorry, you're right.
Lot mowing.
I was reading ahead to make sure that I had the PGI assessment in front of me.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I'm sorry.
The lot mowing is part of the general fund and is governed by the
Right,
board.
so right, that's why we didn't do it
So-
separately for them, but
We will open up public comment on the Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District,
And I'll temporarily remove my motion.
okay? So if anyone has any comment, please come to the podium. You have 3 minutes. No,
Too late.
this is only on this item. Only on this item. Lot mowing was under the general budget, and that was under the,
Well, it was its own item, but it was under general, city council.
yeah, it was under the citizens' comments previously. Anyone? Okay, so I see no
So I will-
comment.
we can go ahead and take the vote and then
Okay.
move on to the next.
I will make a motion to adopt a tentative assessment of $555 for fiscal year 2020 for Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Fund.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment for 2020 of $555. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay. We adjourn as the Burnt Store Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District and will convene as the Punta Gorda Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District.
So I'll read this resolution by title only, and then we will entertain public comment, and then it would be the council's deliberations. This is a resolution adopting a tentative levy of annual special assessment for the Punta Gorda Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District for fiscal year 2019-2020, setting a date, time, and place of public hearing to consider final adoption of the assessment and providing an effective date.
Okay, so for the Punta
we're gonna-
Gorda Isles.
hold it.
Oh, you're gonna do them.
Let public comment.
Well,
Come
if she
first.
wants to introduce it, she can introduce it, right?
We usually have the public
All right,
comments.
if anyone would like to comment on the Punta Gorda Isles Canal assessment for fiscal year 2020, please come to the podium. You have 3 minutes.
Okay, if I'm reading this right, we're
Please get-
doing an additional, oh, John
It's your name.
Stockinger.
Thank you.
We're doing an additional assessment
What is your
of
name, sir?
$100. I did, John Stockinger.
Thank you.
We're doing an additional $100 assessment for PGI, is that correct?
It's the same as last year.
This is the same assessment as last year.
Okay, I just wanted to
The
double check that.
$100 is for the Irma damage that goes for a limited number of years.
That is in addition to the $100.
It's a part of the 12.5% that we have to pay that wasn't reimbursed by FEMA and the state.
The 12.5%, because the federal government picked up 75%, the state of Florida picked up 12.5%, then we had 12.5% retaining. What about the 2 years that all the citizens paid? Where was that money applied towards that for the last 2 years during construction costs? Now, I would also like to mention, being that I do live in the bird section, we did not have the damage that everybody else did. Now, I'm bringing this up because you guys opened up this can of worms when you divided Punta Gorda Isles as far as the bird section and everybody else. I paid my double taxation for the bird cut, which is fine, there's $2,000, because I was over the one lot. But now what you're coming back and asking is that we pay again for all the damage that happened over in the Fisherman's Village area, where the seawalls were damaged quite a bit. We didn't have much damage. And if you look at the records, your own records, you'll see that. I think you need to take a good look at it, because you divided us. The city council divided us when they made them decisions, and that was the wrong decision, and I told you that at the time. So I want you to think about this before you move forward on it. We've paid 2 years of assessments already towards the rebuilding of them seawalls. Now, that money makes up for that 12.5% if you do the math. That's my comment.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? Okay, seeing none, then we will move into this item.
So for fiscal year 2020, the single-family resident assessment is proposed to be $650. That's the operating assessment of $550 plus the $100 related to the repayment of debt service. We had to fund the whole project up front, as well as for that 12.5%, as well as paying for the 12.5%. All non-single-family resident properties have a rate of .068 cents per square foot. And the final public budget hearing for final adoption of the special assessment will be September 4th, 2019 at 5:01 p.m.
Comments? Lynn?
A question, just for the benefit of everyone in the room who may be new to this. The $100 additional assessment, we anticipate that's still going to be for a total of 4 years?
Currently, again, there's the riprap mitigation that has not started. It's still pending. So depending on the length of that, when that gets approved or not, or if it doesn't get approved, it would actually end sooner. We are trying to pay back on the loans, so it may drop off sooner as well, or be less in the final year, depending on our total costs.
Thank you.
Are there other questions or comments? Howard, do you have a comment on that?
No.
Okay.
And this is only the second year of the $100, just so you're aware. The first year, the Hurricane Irma was September of 2018 at the end of the fiscal year.
17.
17, I'm sorry. No, it was 18.
Irma was 17.
17, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Debbie?
When we get the reports from Howard that we've received X number of dollars from FEMA, is that all federal money, or are we getting some of the state 12.5% too?
It's both.
It's
They
both,
send
okay.
both parts at the same time.
Okay, thank you.
You know, I would like to make a comment relative to the 550 even. The 550 is a rate for all of Punta Gorda Isles, and the work that is done in Punta Gorda Isles is done throughout, it's for maintaining the seawall system throughout Punta Gorda Isles without respect to where the work is being done. Because all of Punta Gorda Isles is one district. So to the comment of the question, so it is, for this particular purpose, it is for all of Punta Gorda Isles. Gary?
I'd also like to commend our city staff and the predecessors who put together Punta Gorda Isles and had these districts formed, because we took an awful lot of damage, and we got 87.5% of our bill paid by federal and state funding rather than specifically out of our pockets, has not been the case in other communities. We've been unique this way. We got ourselves a deal. We should be thankful. We should take a big breath and thank all of our predecessors. Thank you all.
I'd like to add to that. When I did my presentation last week to the Seafarers Boat Club, they also asked me to pass along to everyone involved in the city thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and that's exactly how it was presented to me. Thank you for the hard work that went into the program. Thank you for following through with FEMA and the state, and thank you for getting it done in such an efficient and professional manner. So they wanted everybody to know how
In
appreciative
such a
they were.
short period of time. And when you think
Yes.
of the magnitude of creating almost 11 miles of seawall that would go from Burnt Storehouse, Home Depot, all the way up to the Lowe's in Port Charlotte, I mean, that's pretty a huge task in a year and a half, so.
I want to pile on some more accolades, if I may. I just would also like to remind those who weren't involved that we were one of the first communities cleaned up because of the great negotiation and relationship that our staff was able to make with, what was the?
Howard the Hall.
Howard the Hauler.
yeah.
Okay,
He was
we were
awesome.
first. The county was months after us. I used to give Howard a really hard time every week. I say, are you cleaned up yet? No, and what have you. So the work, what our staff did to recover this community after Irma, we were magnitudes ahead of surrounding communities. And again, we should take a nice set of breath. Rick, thank you very much for all of your folks and everybody else, police department, fire department, everybody that was involved.
Okay, any other comments? All right, so what do you want to do?
I'd like to move, can I move
Go
this
ahead.
one? Thank you. Okay, I'd like to, I just got off of here. I'd like to move that we accept item 8A, the resolution to adopt the assessment for the PGI Canal District.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to accept the Punta Gorda Isles Canal Maintenance District assessment for 2020, FY 2020 of $650. Would all those in favor please signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Okay.
Can we take a 5-minute break?
We are adjourned as the Punta Gorda Isles Canal Maintenance Assessment District and reconvene as the Punta Gorda City Council, and we're going to take how much time do you need?
5 minutes.
A
is all.
5-minute break? Okay,
I need
5-minute break,
6.
thank you.
Are you good? It's 5 minutes.
My bladder needs